He burned one of the most mysterious drawings in the world. He drew a map of the world. The mysterious part was that he drew areas on the map that no one had discovered yet. Interesting and even creepy, some beings, pieces of land that don't normally exist, and a completely red island. According to some, it was wanted to show that there is an Antichrist on this island. At the bottom of the world map there is usually Antarctica. If you look at Piri Reis map, you can see that the lower part is filled in the same way. Perhaps Piri Reis showed the Antarctic continent 3 centuries before its discovery. Could this have been possible?
How was it that 500 years ago Piri Reis could show the places he had never been to on a map he had drawn himself?
What did the 29 inscriptions on the map say, one of which was in Ottoman and one in Arabic? Here is the world map of Piri Reis with all its mysteries in the year 1465. It is only 12 years after the conquest of Istanbul. Karamanli Hacı Mehmet and his wife were unaware that they had Ahmed Muhiddin Piri, one of the most talented and intelligent sailors in the world. That day Ahmed Muhiddin admired the great splendor of the seas from a young age. Over time, he observed his voyages and expeditions at sea. He made notes about these. At the age of 29, he started official service in the Ottoman Navy with his uncle, where he became interested in geography and focused on cartography. He described the places he saw during his travels and the events he experienced in his book called The Book of the Navy. After a while, her uncle, whom she had gone on many expeditions with, and whom she loved very much, passed away, and Muhittin Piri took a break from seafaring at the age of 46 and settled in Gallipoli. Some time after the death of his uncle, he would now be given the nickname Reis, meaning captain. Now he was Piri Reis in the year 1511. Piri Reis would like to help the Ottoman Navy more in maritime matters after the many voyages he made in the Mediterranean. He works day and night for this. About 2 years later, in 1513, here is that tremendous picture. Draws the first comprehensive and detailed world map.
In fact, the first world map in history was drawn by the Babylonians in a very simple way, and then more detailed drawings began to be made with the discoveries and developing technology.
But none of them could literally draw a map of the world, including the American continent. In fact, he couldn't even get close to it until Piri Reis map. The map is drawn on gazelle skin in 9 different colors, at a ratio of 65 by 90 centimeters, to show the western coasts of Europe and Africa, as well as the eastern coasts of them, including a small part of North America and a large part of South America. As can be seen from the right side, the map is divided on a straight line. Some people say that the map has 2 pieces in total, while others say that there are 16 pieces. There are 30 different notes on the map, big and small. In addition, 9 ships, including a boat, and about 20 animals are depicted. Some of the animal drawings are deformed or silicified. After the map is drawn, it mysteriously disappears in the 1900s, that is, until it reappears 4 centuries later. The part that makes the map mysterious is that the unexplored lands contain strange beings and symbols. Moreover, the map is drawn with a unique perspective. Piri Reis world map was made at a time when my neck was not calculated accurately. At that time, maps were usually drawn by decorating them with symbolic expressions. The coasts, Islands, ports and the distances between them were roughly indicated, and ships traveling at sea would decipher their direction according to these points. This is called the Parlatan technique. The Turkish language is connected with the port.
In other words, by looking at these maps, you could simply see the indented ledges, rocky and shallow areas on the route you were going to and determine the direction accordingly.
As for these complex lines drawn on the map, these lines are extensions of the compasses on the map. In other words, it is the lines that determine the direction. It's actually a sailor's language that shows which point extends to where. Piri Reis had provided great assistance from the Ottoman Navy by showing these points on his map. First of all, the reason I explained the historical and geographical aspect of the work was important for you to better understand the next parts, the mysterious parts. When you look at the map, we see the African continent, South America and part of the North American continent. But today, when we compare it with the maps of modern times, we can say that the South American continent is completely incompatible with the drawing of Piri Reis. Because the southern part of the continent stands extended to the east. According to some, Piri Reis may have shown the Antarctic continent on his map. Could he have discovered this continent 3 centuries before the discovery of Antarctica? If this is true, why did Piri Reis combine South America with Antarctica?
Professor Charles Hepgood said that the Piri Reis map reflects Antarctica tens of thousands of years ago. According to the charter, Piri Reis depicted the state of Antarctica on the map before it was covered with glaciers.
In fact, the discovery of the Antarctic continent was impossible at that time. Because the farthest known place was the southern part of Africa, Sir Piri Reis could not have drawn the Antarctic continent. Because there is a detail on the map that can override this. If you look carefully, the tilted tip of the map is actually exactly the same as the tip of South America, so much so that Malvinas Island, which still exists today, is drawn on the map in exactly the same place. So this part doesn't look like Antarctica, just the rest of South America. Well, then did Piri Reis draw the South American continent incorrectly? Why did the lower part of the food stand facing east? According to the rumor, Pope Alexander VI was going to make a decoupling between Portugal and Spain. The division of the territories colonized by them was made by the Treaty of Tordesillas on June 7, 1494. And a border was drawn from north to south. This was called the Laria line. The east of this line is Portugal and the west of Spain, but the Portuguese moved the coast of present-day Argentina east of the border to get more pellets. It is rumored that Piri Reis had drawn the Argentine coast by extending it to the east due to this agreement. In fact, Piri wrote this in a note on his map as follows: "The Portuguese cannot go to the west side from here. That side belongs to Spain." But when you look at it, this claim is not very realistic. Because if you look at the map in the agreement, the borderline covers more than half of South America, not just at the ends. Moreover, the drawn map has nothing to do with the appearance of South America. It looks as if the forecast has been drawn, because the borders of the American continent standing in the west could not be fully known and mapped. But if one is on Reis's map, South America is incredibly similar to what it is today. So in the note here, Piri Reis, as he describes other important events, only mentions the agreement made by Portugal and Spain, if we come to the drawing of South America. Either Piri Reis had drawn this part incorrectly, or there should have been another explanation for this.
Perhaps there could have been information describing this tilted part of the map. Normally maps are three-dimensional and tilted.
When we transfer this to a two-dimensional plane, we see that the lower part of the continent is shifting towards the east. This is an azimuthal projection. In other words, the map transferred to the plane is a bird's eye view of the world from that height after the azimuthal projection rises from a point of the world. The middle point of the heart of the world is known as the Egyptian Cairo.
Here is a map based on Cairo that actually explains everything. The map looks like Piri Reis map in this way.
And the northern part of the continent, which normally looks more oblique, is flatter on the azimuthal map. Again, just like Piri Reis's map, this is quite interesting. Swiss author Erich Hondeaken mentions Piri Reis in his book Chariots of the Gods and makes an unusual claim that he could only make this map with the help of aliens. Indeed, how the map was drawn under the conditions of that day is still a matter of debate even today. In fact, there is information about the drawing in the lower left section of the map. He writes in Turkish as follows and is both a great believer in colonization. Who has these edges and edges that are necessarily on the map? It is written on the map of Pollenbu. In other words, Piri Reis mentioned the ball as a person in the last chapter and said that the areas and edges of the American continent were drawn by looking at the map of Columbus. So did Piri Reis draw the American continent without all these mysteries just by looking at another map? At this point, during my research, I came across a chapter from Piri Reis's book called The Navy.
It's an interesting section because it gives another information about the drawing of the map. Watch this place. Now know that the map is the work of the wise. It is not the work of an ordinary person. Because what is shown on the map is real. Just so you know, they don't matter as much as a hair.
Here I told you about the construction of the map. Things are becoming increasingly impossible in the note here. Piri Reis says that he did not make the map himself, but that wise people made him do it. And the note on the map said he was taking advantage of colon. So which was the real one? What did Piri Reis want to tell with the strange symbols and entities on his map?
What was this red island that stood in the middle? And the strange creature standing just below? When the notes on the map were examined, some oddities were found. And a serious claim has been made, and in the second and final part, we will answer all these questions. I ask you, especially don't forget to like the video and write comments. The second part, it really looks like it's going to be quite strange.